Hazelbeth, just so you know, we will have Mr. Creason, Mrs. Bradford joining us remotely tonight. Mr. Janeski will not be able to be in attendance.
Okay. It's not the pastor.
I've hit record. We're on here.
Mr. Maynard, will we be able to hear actions taken by the other board members? We'll have to turn up for that. So
Yeah,
at that point, we'll have to quickly turn your volume up so we can hear.
I will do that. I'll turn up. I'll try to help you with the action items. You're welcome to sit closer if you need to. It's up to you. Got to get my team back healthy here again. Well, I've got the administrators on here. Could you just, a couple of you, I can see, if you could just give me a thumbs up, let me know. Can you hear okay? Are we good? All right. It's great to see you, Mr. Odell.
Good to be seen.
Yes, sir. All right. Wonderful. Thank you all. Mr. Plotner, did you want to share anything tonight in terms of finance committee?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You can just basically say that we met.
Okay.
And we were
Kind of did a mid-year budget review.
Your review.
Okay. Good with that, Randy and Jason? Okay.
Mr. Maynard,
Sir,
you good on your end?
I believe so. Thank you.
We'll go ahead and call this January meeting of the Oakwood Unit 76 Board of Education meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. Roll call, please.
Adams.
Here.
Bradford. Creason. Janeski. Ludwig. Plutner.
Here.
Here. Mr. Maynard, are there any other board members online?
Yes, Jessica Bradford is with us, and Mr. Todd Creason is with us virtually.
As a reminder, we are recording this and we are live streaming this. Board members that are remote, please remember if you do make a motion or as you vote, please state your name to help with recording. Pledge of allegiance. You join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We want to remind the board members when it comes time to vote to unmute so we can hear. Sorry. My apologies.
We're recognizing public guests or guests that we have or seek any public comment. Mr. Maynard, is anybody online that has any public comment?
I'm not seeing or aware of anyone. I did put out a notice that if anyone did have something that they wanted read, that they could email me, as well. I'd be happy to read those. I do not have any correspondence to be shared for public comment at this time.
Mr. Maynard, did everybody have a chance to review the consent agenda?
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Items as submitted. Adams.
Yes.
Bradford.
Yes.
Teresa,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Plattner,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Motion carried by roll call vote, Lynn.
Agenda item number 6, our committee reports, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, just wanted to make mention tonight that we did have a finance committee meeting at 4:30 today. And so the purpose of that meeting was to do a mid-year budget review, just to see how we're doing on our budget, our finances, revenues, expenditures. So good news, we're right on target. Our revenues are a little bit more than normal right now because of the federal money that we're receiving, which is more of an in-out situation. But it's helping us to achieve some of the goals that we've had for some time in a lot of different areas for our school district. So we'll continue to monitor that and as we move along, but it's good to do a mid-year review and see if there's any adjustments that need to be made. So it's a good meeting. Along with that, you see the financial report attached that basically affirms some of the information I just shared with you. And a lot of miscellaneous items here that I wanted to try to cover if I could in the report. Just an update on the high school assistant principal vacancy. We posted that internally for a couple weeks. We've posted it externally. We're receiving applications. And we would like to run this particular interview committee similar to what we did for the high school principal position. So Ms. Ludwig, I'll probably be asking you to be a part of that again, if you don't mind. It won't be as large of a committee as what we had last time, but obviously I'm getting information from Mr. Lee and Mr. Odell as well as we start to bring this together. So we're still evaluating applicants at this point, so I'll keep you posted as we move along. Any questions on that, by the way?
What's your time, Lynn?
Well, I'd like to have a recommendation for you at the March board meeting.
Oh, okay.
Is what I'm hoping for. So a lot of it will depend on the number of applicants that we receive. We still need to get our committee together. We've got another board meeting in 3 weeks in February, so that would be too soon. So my hope is that at the March meeting, we would have a recommendation. We'll see how it plays out. Okay, as far as some other items, this is pretty new and fresh here, but I wanted to mention that I received some information from the village board, and it's just continuation of agreements that we already have, one being a school resource officer. So I will share this with you. Again, it's nothing new. It's just a continuation for 2 more years with the student resource officer that we have, wellness checks and all the things that Ms. Damilano does for us. And so I will get that out to you. It would be something for you to review before the next board meeting. I wasn't able to get it to you in time for tonight. And then we also have another agreement, which is a routine agreement with the Oakwood Park baseball field for a couple more years as well. So we're making, after tonight, we'll be making our second payment to the village for $5,000, which was our 3-year agreement. And then we will make the next payment in the fall. And that will complete our agreement, at that point in time that was made with the village a couple years ago. So we'll be on.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
On the resource officer, there is a bill in the state legislature to do away with all resource officers. I think it's
There is.
the whole scheme, which I am not for.
Right.
But where does that put us? If we sign a contract now, and then everyone thinks that will not become legislation.
Yeah.
But if we signed a contract now, where would that put us?
It would basically null
Null and void?
Yep, null and void the agreement. So it's a great point that you bring up, Mrs. Ludwig. And so I would just recommend that we next month go ahead and approve.
Okay.
So we're ready and the village knows that we have that commitment. And then in the event that legislation changes, that basically will overrule, what we're doing. And I've had some communication with Mrs. Damilano about that. She's aware of it. Of course, none of us are hoping that will happen.
No, I don't want that to end. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, it has been. But, and the key on that is, and this, Ms. Ludwig, the key is the person you have doing it. And we are blessed to have the right person in that role for our kids and families, especially during this pandemic. So thank you for that. Also, I just want to remind the board members, we will be submitting tomorrow information to the Vermillion County Clerk's Office, routine mention, where they just need our names and addresses of the current board members, administrators. They'll be doing the economic interest yellow slips that will be coming out to you probably prior to the next board meeting. And if you could sign those and get those to myself or Dinah so that we know who has submitted and who hasn't, so there aren't any fines or anything, we'll be glad to take care of that for you. Okay? Dinah will be happy to do that. And on the calendar, I know a little bit later, Mr. Lee is probably going to talk a little bit about graduation. Some thoughts he has on that, so I'll save that for him on calendar. And I've been doing a lot of surveying with superintendents, not only locally, but around the state, south of I-80, just to do some networking and gather what schools are doing currently and their plans as far as returning to learn and that type of thing. At this point in time, there's approximately a third of the school districts in Illinois that are in session, meaning either hybrid or fully, depending on the nature of their structure of their classrooms and so forth. So I'm going to address this here in a little bit, because one of the things that's happened with information flow, most people are aware that the Illinois High School Association, Illinois Elementary School Association, and Illinois Department of Public Health, there's been a dramatic shift in the guidelines to the point where the 6 foot social distancing is no longer basically going to be adhered to, because they're wanting to get kids participating again. That's exciting and that's great news, but what that does is that puts a contradiction immediately in what we've been adhering to since last March, okay? And we have been faithful and done this with fidelity and integrity at Oakwood, which I'm proud of, but this brings in a contradiction with a lot of questions that we have. So if you'll hang in there with me for a few minutes here, I want to cover some things I've shared with you. I've had some communication, even as recent as today, with a parent bringing up this very question, which is a great question to ask, because that's what I've been dealing with here today, trying to figure out why is it that we can all of a sudden be participating immediately, but yet we don't have kids in school. And so that is something that I'm struggling with right now, because the bottom line is we're about teaching and learning first, and we're students, and then we're athletes and other activities and so forth. So with that being said, when this IHSA thing came out, I immediately started reaching out to local superintendents to see what their thoughts are on this, because I believe that the more consistent we can be throughout the county and the conference, it strengthens all of us, and it helps our families and our kids. And right now, there's not a lot of firm decision making on this. So I have a meeting on Friday with the superintendents. There's an AD meeting that's coming up, and then next week I got another superintendent's meeting Monday to try to sort through some of the questions related to this. So that being said, things that come up are in regards to, so if all of a sudden now we're going to be able to have students, face to face, masked up with activities, well, what does that mean for education? What does that mean in terms of spectators? What is that? We're going to have home spectators only. We're going to have home and away. We're allowed to have 50. So how are we going to manage this? Examples of what some school districts are looking at right now. Some are basically saying, let's just focus on getting the kids participating first, which is my preference, and see how that goes. And let's do that well before we start bringing other people in right away. Not everybody's going to agree with that, and I understand that, but I just think the more that you can slow roll things out, the more successful that you can be. But I do know that there are districts nearby that are immediately going to allow participants of 50, and they are going to allow their home fans only, not visiting schools. And they're going to do the social distancing, and they're going to give participants each participant 2 tickets is what I'm hearing by some of the school districts, and allow them for immediate family. Okay, so there's a lot of things rolling fast right now that we're trying to manage, and I don't have all the answers, but I'm trying to network to find out what is the best approach here. So, but just so you know, those are some of the things that we're looking at and dealing with over the next several days. So that being said, it kind of leads me to what I would like to share with the school board, as well as the community that are here with us, some steps that I'm taking right now in terms of a communication plan to get our kids and take care of our staff in a safe manner. So several different topics. First of all, we know that we are doing remote learning with Fidelity. It's not as good as being in person, and I think we could all agree on that. We want to be in person, and that's been our goal for quite some time. We've got a situation, I call this disruptive innovations. All right. We've learned a lot since last March, and especially since July and August. All right. So what I mean by disruptive innovations, in the event that we have inclement weather, I would think that the traditional snow days are gone, because now we can do remote learning. And so that way we could still have a day where we're in session and not have to do makeups. And in the event that would happen tomorrow, you know, for example, if the weather would be terrible, instead of just saying school's closed, we're not having it, you know, we're going to reach out and we're going to have to be prepared, you know, as a staff to be able to do a remote learning day on that day and try to keep the continuity of education. So that's one thing. Second thing is vaccinations. As you know, I've shared with you that we have organized with the health department, and we have had, like, we did a survey of staff. We had approximately 50% of our staff employees that were interested in the survey. And so that first window of opportunity came through a few days ago, and we'll have a second round available to our school district employees in February.
Now,
Which
is that their second shot, or is that their first shot? They'll have another opportunity.
the second round, I'm trying to think what Mrs. Zindar's told me. I think the second round is all in February, and the first round I think is getting completed in January, maybe the first week in February. I can't remember for sure.
Well, wasn't your option last Thursday and Friday for your faculty? Then they got a date in February to go back
For the
their
second
So
shot.
when you say that there's another opportunity, is that for the other 50% if they want to get the first shot?
It is. Or even if someone that was not interested the first time has changed their mind,
Right, that's what I mean.
Yep. then they could,
Okay.
it's still open for them.
Yeah. Okay.
And so with the vaccinations, with the 50% of our staff being interested, that was roughly around 70 people from our school district employees. And like I said, it'll still be open, so it's not going to close on them. They just need to make sure that they contact the Vermilion County Health Department and get that set up. So that was a big thing that I think has been very important, along with the decisions of participation. But the vaccinations situation, I think, has been very important to us. So these are some of the things that I think has happened to us here as we move through this. With all these governing associations and clearance from IDPH to allow activities to begin and competitions, this quick change, I think, has pushed that 6 feet social distancing situation has led to several questions. Teaching and learning should be the priority of school districts, and therefore this decision should allow for in-person instruction to take place without the 6-foot barrier. The governing associations of the IHSA and IESA is allowing spectators at events that have maximum capacity of 50 with social distancing. Therefore, the question becomes, how do we manage this? Should we phase spectators in after we've implemented a safe return of procedures for our student athletes? What about fully remote students? we know that ISB has, Illinois State Board of Education has allowed them, even though they're fully remote, to have the same rights to participate as those that are in person in our current hybrid mode. And to me, that creates some conflicts as well. You know, how can you be staying home as a choice to be fully remote, but then want to be fully participating? So these are some of the questions and things that we're going to have to try to sort out moving forward. But currently, the State Board of Ed is making that allowance.
So we really don't have a choice in doing this.
We don't at this time. And, you know, with all due respect to the State Board of Education, things have been very silent for a few months. And so we're hoping that we're going to get some clarification on some things soon. But these are the questions that we're trying to have answers for as soon as possible. So I have a communication plan here that I want to share with the board. It's a recommendation. I want to share with you kind of some steps that I've taken here. I mentioned that I've scheduled a meeting with superintendents in the area on Friday and Monday to see what other schools are planning to do with this new information. I'm hoping for consistency if possible, but yet I fully understand and respect that each superintendent needs to comply with the wishes of their local Board of Education. I've already heard from 2 districts. I mentioned that a little bit earlier, kind of what they're doing, so I'm creating a survey sheet for that. Athletic directors are planning to meet this week to evaluate the situation and procedures. And then today I had a meeting with the union president, Mr. Wes Miller, to discuss these changes and some of the challenges that we are facing together for a return to learn plan and the implications, you know, of this new fresh information. So the following recommendation is what I shared with Mr. Miller today, and I'd asked him when he left this afternoon and we were both in agreement in that communication, Mr. Miller and I, about this communication plan, getting our kids back in school, which I'm very appreciative of our association in working with us. And I asked him after our meeting today to go back and share this information with the association officers, because I needed to do the same thing with my administrative team to make sure there wasn't something that we're missing, because this is very new, immediate information. So after that meeting, I asked Mr. Miller to share that information. I did talk to the administrative team, and at that time, the thing that we talked about was this window of 14 days after the February 18th and 19th vaccination. That was something that we talked about. And so I had a window of March 1st to the 15th as far as getting all of our kids back in the school district of Oakwood, Monday through Friday, no remote day on Wednesday, but we would still have to keep the start and dismissal times because we have so many children that are still remote. And we've got to be able to prepare and serve those kids like we're doing now. So it would be a shortened day, but yet we would be every day. Okay, so that was the plan that I shared with Mr. Miller. He agreed to. We talked a lot about the 14-day window. I shared this with the administrative team. I had support from our principals on this as well. Shared it with the curriculum coordinator so that she knew kind of what we were thinking. And I think the big thing is that in moving forward with this vision and bringing this forth, as I've thought about this more in the last couple of hours, because it's pretty fresh today, is that I really like the opportunity to have a slow rollout for our school district, because we've got to be able to have the ability to get furniture back in classrooms. We've got to have the ability to, how are we going to manage food delivery for our kids? How are we going to manage now extensive cleaning and disinfecting when we got twice as many kids in our building? Things of that nature. We need time to do this, and even transportation, so that we're successful in our plan. So after meeting with Mr. Miller, we knew that we had this window here. I'm going to recommend something to you as a board to consider here. And I would like to recommend that Monday, March the 1st would be our target for getting our grade school kids back fully. That gives us 4 weeks to plan and prepare. It's probably going to require a task force meeting to see what kind of support resources we may need to pull that off. And then the following Monday, which would be March the 8th, that would be our junior high school opportunity to get those kids back in. And then finally, the end of the third quarter has been moved up to the 12th. So March 15th would be the fourth quarter start date. That would be a perfect time, Mr. Lee said, from a high school standpoint to make that transition. So I think if we can, my recommendation would be that we just try to have a consensus or a compromise in how we unfold this in a way I think we'll have a better opportunity for success to get our kids back in. Ms. Ludwig pointed out to me today, I had no idea that CDC had brought forth some new guidelines yesterday, and I appreciate you mentioning that to me. So thanks to Ms. Kimbrough helping me with some research while I was at a meeting. Got to give credit where credit's due. Let me just share with you some highlights from this new CDC information, and if I miss something, Ms. Ludwig, just jump in.
I haven't read that.
That's okay. Okay, good. Well, I feel pretty confident in the information I have here. It says the United States is committing, this is a quote here that's coming from the CDC information. The United States is committed to ensuring that students and educators are able to resume safe, in-person learning as quickly as possible with the goal of getting majority of K-8 schools safely open in 100 days. So obviously our target that we had set this afternoon was even more aggressive than that. So, but we would meet those guidelines. So the support, the CDC says schools are safe, low transmission in schools with mask wearing policies and social distancing. Education Department and Department of Public Health will provide guidelines to help schools open safely. So that should be coming forth, and we'll use that information. Major unified federal investment in rapid testing. I know Muhammad Seymour was a school district that got out of the gate pretty quick on this rapid testing to experiment with. Sounds like a lot of us are going to be provided that direction. So that's something that could be coming for us as well. We'll have to learn how to do that well. This will stimulate the economy and get educational employees back to work. The good news for us is we've not lost any employees because of this. We have made a commitment to sustain ourselves, and schools will get help to establish screenings, testings, and tracing programs. So again, I just want to thank Michelle Kimbrough for forwarding that to me. So where do we go from here? I've laid out a recommendation, March 1st for the grade school, the 8th of March for the junior high, and the 15th for the high school. I'm asking for your support or guidance that you think would be better for our school district. I'd like to be able to get with the task force to have a meeting to work through this. I'd like to be able to get some internal communication together as well as external communication as quickly as possible, so we've got time to plan. So I realize that's a lot, but I really wanted to focus tonight on the priority of what we do, and that's teaching and learning and how we get this going. So I feel I'm excited. You probably sensed that, but at the same time, you know, we're still in the fog of war a little bit. So we want to have a plan, but we want to move slowly together and make this successful for our school district, our community, and our kids. So that is the gist of my long report tonight. So thank you for your patience. But I'm trying to set a vision for our school district with our administrative team and with our board. So I will do my best to try to answer any questions that you may have on any of the information I've shared or anything else you would like to ask. That's all I have, Mr. Smith.
I think it's a reasonable plan. I think it's reasonable. If you have everyone on board, your administration and your teachers, your union, then I think that's very feasible. If you don't have any pushback from anyone, that can be done.
Yeah.
I just feel it's important to get the kids back.
It is. And, as an educator, the thing that we all wrestle with is just the frustration of knowing that when these kids aren't here every day, there's academic loss, there's social loss, there's emotional loss, there's basic needs in some situations. And since this opportunity has opened up to us through the IDPH with activities and all these things, and to me that is telling us something, that we need to get prepared and get moving forward. And then when I see the CDC guidelines, it reaffirms that. So that being said, let's not get caught flat-footed. Let's make sure we have a plan. Let's get it communicated and give our kids and community some hope about what we're going to try to do. And the reality is that we could jump into this plan and not be in it too long, and all of a sudden, due to the virus and things, we could be in a hybrid. We could be home for 2 weeks. We don't know, but I really feel like we need to have a plan moving forward together. So compassion and patience are my two favorite words right now. Thank you very much.
Ms. Kimbrough, is she remote?
I don't know if she was able to join us or not.
Okay, we do have her board report. Mr. Lee.
Good evening, everyone. Everyone hear me?
Yes.
Information is coming in fast and furious over the last week, and today the snowball got real big. So we are dealing with a lot of information that's flying in, trying to make decisions. It's sort of what we did last spring, but in the opposite way. Last spring, it felt like we were shutting everything down quickly, and every day was a new piece of information. Today, I feel like it's just the opposite. We're opening, and every day is a new piece of information. So it's going to take us a while. We're asking, like you said, patience with everybody as we try to figure out exactly how school and sports and everything else that everybody has questions about is going to work. You have my board report there. I'm not going to go into great detail on that. I will tell you that we are planning graduation. We have set the date for Saturday, May 22nd. Our traditional date has been a Sunday, but we just thought we needed to start planning this. We cannot wait to see what happens with the pandemic. So we said, let's try to get this outside where we can get cameras on it, where we might be able to get people, where we can make it as safe as possible. So we chose a Saturday date with the Sunday following as the rain date. So that is what we are pushing out to everyone. Saturday, May 22nd, Sunday, May 23rd is the rain date. We are looking at using the football field. We already have a stage that is rented. We have camera out there. We have sound. We have places for people to spread out. I've already talked to Mrs. Ludwig and some other veteran teachers who have been involved in the outdoor graduations. It's been probably 20 years ago or so. So we're gathering information to make sure that is right. Obviously, if all this changes and we can go inside on May 22nd, we'll do that, or we'll figure something out. But right now, our plan is outdoor graduation on May 22nd. The other issue I wanted to bring up specifically on this, and I don't normally put a specific issue like this on your board report, but I want to make the board aware of an app called PhotoMath, which is a great little app. You open the app, you take a picture with your phone of the problem, and the app solves the problem for you. Tells you the answer, even tells you all the steps. It bills itself as a great teaching tool for parents and kids to learn math. And it does have that value, but what we are finding is students are using it to do their math for them. This isn't a problem when our students are in front of us, but it is a problem when the students are taking assessments and they are at home. And I can tell you, I've already had numerous conversations between parents and teachers where we have sort of an accusation or a concern, was this student cheating? And then someone said, no, I didn't cheat, but you didn't get anything wrong on any of the assignments, but you got everything right on the test. So it's just led to some awkward discussions. I'm not coming here looking for answers. I'm just letting you know that this is one of the things that we are dealing with. Obviously, we get everybody back in school. This becomes less of an issue, but be aware of that. If someone calls you up and says, this is what's going on at the high school, they don't want us to use this app or whatever, that's the issue. I encourage everyone to take a look at it. It is a great app. It is amazing. You can write out the problem. It will take a picture and solve it. Or you can take a picture out of a textbook. It will solve it, tell you the steps, and then tell you what page it's on and what the name of the textbook is. So it is an amazing thing, but it is causing a bit of a headache for our math teachers with remote assessments.
Mr. Lee, what's the name of that app again?
Photomath.
Thank you.
All of you with children, write that. No, I'm joking. I have lots of concerns about athletics. Mr. Maynard has voiced a lot of those. I'm sure Mr. Odell's going to talk about those. John and I will get together starting tomorrow and begin to work through those. We've already been talking tonight. This whole opening school thing came up as we were thinking about the athletic thing, so I haven't even really put my head to that. So, but I'm anxious, ready to figure out what we have to do, work with our teaching staff to figure out what needs to get done to make sure this goes smoothly. And I'm glad we're at the back of the line. We'll let Mrs. Lapinus work out the kinks for us. That's all I've got.
I can't hear him.
I think you're on, Mr. Odell.
Okay. Well, obviously the IHSA came out with a bunch of guidance, a bunch of new schedules. I'm not going to go over my whole athletic director's report because most of it has probably changed anyway. But we do have both boys and girls basketball teams practicing. We have our Scholastic Bowl team practicing. Their first match will be February 4th, but they are going to do everything remotely. So they will not be traveling to the schools as of right now. So that's where we're at with that. I have an AD's meeting on Zoom tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., which we're going to be looking at schedules. But my phone is already blowing up from all the ADs trying to figure out the schedules in advance instead of waiting for the meeting. So that's the pressure that we're under right now. All the teams have to have 7 days of practice before they can have their first game. Our teams started their practices on Monday, so we could virtually have games starting February 4th, somewhere in there. But it's going to be depending on what the conference says. I got a call from St. Joe already wanting to play a boys and girls varsity JV next Thursday. I put them off. We're going to wait on that. But everything is moving really quickly. Our streaming camera is up in the gym, so whether we have fans or not, they should be able to actually see it on the TV screen if they subscribe to the NFHS network. I did a test of the girls' practice tonight. I'm going to look at that to make sure everything is operating the way it should. And then of great need, we have a softball coach that we need to find, really two, because the assistant coach is probably going to resign as well. And also boys track and field head coach is what we're going to need with these sports coming into play. The other thing that I wanted to put before you is the IHSA has changed their eligibility rules for the semester. It used to be as you had to pass 5 classes in order to play sports in the following semester. You still have the weekly eligibility, but they amended the semester eligibility to only having to pass 3 classes to be eligible. Okay. And so we can take what the IHSA has amended and go down to 3 classes, or we can leave it at 5. My recommendation, I attached a paper on it, a proposal. My recommendation is to go down to 3 classes. It's been a bad year as far as trying to get all the academics and everything. Now we have sports genning up. I would like to see as many student athletes able to play as possible. And by going with the IHSA, it kind of just follows what we have been doing with IDPH and all the other guidelines. We're kind of sticking to what is being recommended by the governing bodies. So I would like to make that proposal, and that is only for this year. The regular eligibility for week to week is still in force. So our no pass, no play from week to week is still going to be the same, because we are more stringent than what the IHSA is right now as far as the week to week. So the only change is students that struggled this first semester of this year will only have to have had 3 classes that they've passed in order to continue to play sports. So that's one thing I wanted to get before the board. Then the other thing I had was just the current guidance. I gave you the levels of the various sports and what they are and what they're allowed to do. That's as of right now. One of the concerning things is, and if you watch college sports at all, especially in basketball, is even though we may get basketball rolling, if we have one player on our team that tests positive, and that means the rest of the team may have to quarantine, that could basically stop your season right there. Right now, basketball, you have 6 weeks. You have one player that comes in and tests positive, and they're not doing what they're supposed to do, social distancing. The whole team could be shut down for a 10-day period. So you're going to lose basically a third of your season at that point. So I just want to make you aware that those things are still out there, and we still have to adhere to the IDPH requirements as they are, and the Vermilion County Health Department. Hopefully tomorrow I'll have more answers. I just wanted to put that in front of you. And that's basically all I've got, unless you have any questions.
Ms. Burton, Oakland Junior High.
Hey, good evening. Third quarter is starting in a whirl. We start our benchmarking for all of our students, and on February 3rd, we'll look at that data to help us drive instruction. The building is running smooth. The students that return to in-person are doing very well, and I'm excited about what we're doing during our school day. Now, when it comes to IESA sports, I consider that like drinking from a fire hose. We have been inundated with different guidelines, and it's been very fluid, and it continues to change. Volleyball practice started last Thursday. Boys basketball started on Monday. They also have 7 days practice before they can start games. So we'll start on the 2nd and 3rd next week. The thing that I do appreciate that we are doing a lot of safety guidelines, temperature checks. We have to keep attendance for contact tracing, and masks have to be worn by the athletes and the coaches at practices and games. Right now, as Mr. Maynard said, we're going through what the spectators look like, and we'll get direction from our superintendents and by our conference recommendations. If it's 6 feet, I can only have 27 people in my bleachers. So we're just going to see how that moves and that fluidity goes. Tomorrow is the junior high AD meeting, and we'll get some information there. And we continue to listen to the Department of Health and IHSA also. We will have spelling team on the horizon, and I need 2 girls basketball coaches before our season starts. So other than that, junior high is up and rolling. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Burton. Thank you, Mr. Burton. Oak Grade School, Ms. LePenneth.
Hi, everybody. Not a whole lot to add to the report other than having kindergarten and sixth grade all back in has gone very well. Everybody's thriving. We're staying healthy for the most part, and it all has just really worked out. Teachers and kids are happy, which makes us happy. And then the other thing was I just wanted to give a shout out to Sheila because she has really worked so very hard with the food service department to be able to keep us in session. I know we were really close to shutting down last week to going into like 2 weeks of a shutdown, but Sheila pulled it off to be able to do grab and go lunches, which worked out great. And another shout out to Courtney at the junior high because she came over to help us run that. So without the two of them, we would have been shut down for another week. And I'm very thankful for everything that they did for us. So unless you guys have questions for me, that's it from the grade school.
Thank you, Ms. LaPena. Ms. Acton.
All right. Not too much more to add. It's been really exciting to have our kindergarten and sixth grade students back in session with us. As we've discussed before, truancy and just keeping track of our remote students has been a challenge in this year. Many of our truant students, although kindergarten can't be considered truant for age purposes, but a lot of those students have been our kindergarten and sixth grade students. So having them back in the building where we can check in with them every day has been wonderful. Still working with truancy on almost a daily basis just to make sure that we are keeping tabs on our students. And Officer D has been wonderful to assist us with that. And I can answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Acton. Mr. Richardson.
He's ill tonight.
Okay. Ms. Lunt.
Mrs. Lunt is here.
Okay.
I don't really have anything else to add other than what was in my report. Anyway, we're going to take a vote tonight about extending our lease for another 2 years on our buses instead of getting new ones this year. Like I said in the report, 2 of the buses that we're no longer using because we're not transporting care and early childhood would go back. And we've also gotten the extension on the mileage from yearly of 16 to 18. And all the buses that we currently have that we've ran all last year and so far this year, I've only got one bus that's even close to 18,000 at this point in time. And that's just 1 year. And she runs 2 routes a day. So that's definitely really exciting on there. And it's going to save a lot of money in the budget doing it this way.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Mr. Siddons.
Mr. Siddons is not with us tonight.
Okay. Agenda item number 7, OCEF report.
Yeah, I'll just read the agenda there. So had a great meeting a couple weeks ago with OCEF, and they just wanted to share that due to the pandemic, OCEF will not be having an in-person fundraising event in the spring this year. Obviously, that means that they'll not be handing out any grants next year, but we're in a really good place with them, and we've got district money that has taken care of a lot of needs this year. So I think it's a chance for them to just kind of get their feet underneath them a little bit and do some planning with some other things. But I will tell you that this is a great group of people and leadership for our community, and I just really enjoy those meetings and just hearing just their vision and their hearts, how they like to serve. So just a shout out to the Oakwood Community Education Foundation tonight.
OEA report.
I do not have anything to add there. I didn't see if Mr. Miller was here. I think we have Mrs. Grimm. Is there anything that needs to be shared tonight?
I don't believe so at this time, but thanks for checking.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mrs. Grimm.
Thank you, Mr. Grimm. Mr. Maynard, was there any freedom of information requests last month?
There was not.
The old business to attend to, Mr. Mayor?
I do not have any.
Okay. Have no need to go into closed session. Move on to consideration action. Agenda item 12.1. Recommendation to approve the voluntary transfer of Amy Makowitz to the 10-month secretary at Oak Brook Grade School upon retirement of Luann Black.
Okay. So I didn't know, Ms. LaPennis, did you want to share anything in regards to that voluntary transfer that we received?
Sure. For Amy, it just works out better with her having young children. Gives her a little bit more time at home with them over the summer and cuts down on her daycare costs. And she likes the idea of coming in at 7 and working until 3:30, which is what Luann currently does. So she would just like to be able to make that switch before we hire somebody new.
Good.
Do I have a motion?
So,
Thanks.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Yes.
Lisa,
Mr. Freeze.
Yes.
Ludwig, yes. Plattner,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Motion carried by roll call vote 2.
Agenda item 12.2, we have a recommendation to adopt the Illinois Association of School Board Policy Manual updates as presented for the press online publishing.
Sure, just an update. It's been a few months, but we've been working through this with the updates, and you've had a couple of readings on that. So what I'm hoping tonight is that we can approve it, and that way I can contact the Illinois Association of School Boards, and we can get moving forward with getting our board policy manual online.
A motion? Second. Ludwig. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Motion by Adams, seconded by Ludwig, to approve the adoption of the policy manual as presented. Friesen,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Plattner,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Motion carried by roll call vote 3.
Agenda item 12.3, a recommendation to approve the Midwest Bus Transit renewal extension as presented.
Don't have anything new to add.
Second.
Plattner. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Motion by Adams, seconded by Plattner, to approve the bus renewal extension as presented. Ludwig,
Yes.
Plattner.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Adams. Brett.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carried by roll call vote 4.
Mr. Manager, any other new business for discussion?
I do not have any.
As a reminder, our next meeting will be the third Wednesday of the month. Seems like it's a very short time away, February 17th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. We have a motion to adjourn this meeting at 6:20 p.m.
We can take action on the back to school schedule.
I'm sorry, yes.
Take action on that. Back to school schedule.
Yes. Yeah, I don't have that listed here. It was in the report. So if, I guess the board, we do need to have some board noted in the minutes that you are basically agreeing with the recommendation that I presented. Yeah, the only thing is that we've had discussion. We've got it noted in the board here. I think that what we can do is I can have it as an official, we've had discussion, and I can have it as an official action item in 3 weeks, if you're okay with that. Okay.
Take official action.
Like a straw poll now.
Yeah.
So I'll have that in February for us then. Okay.
Taking a motion to adjourn at 6:21 p.m.
Second.
Mr.
We're all
Plattner
anxious.
first,
We're all anxious.
Mr. Adams second. Any discussion? No. Roll call, please.
Oh, okay, we're at it. Plattner.
Yes.
Smith. Brett.
Yes.
Yes.
Ludwig.
Yes.
Motion carried by roll call vote 5.
Okay, good night, everyone. Thank you.
Stay safe. Good night.
Good night.
Bye, everybody.